All right, in this video, we are going to look at slope. However, we are going to look at slope when there is no picture. So in the previous video, we saw how we can use rise over run to figure out the slope. In this picture, we are going to use the slope formula. And the slope formula uses the coordinates of a slope, of 2 points on the line. Use the coordinates to figure out how much of a difference the 2 points are from each other in terms of height, which would be the rise, and how much they are different from each other in terms of their x values, which would be the run. How far is it going to the right side? So let's take a look at this. Let's zoom in on this one. So if we take a look at this one, we can see that -8, -11 is our first point. If we were to graph that, it would look something like this, more or less like this. Let's make a bad graph of this. -8 and -11 would be all the way down here somewhere. And the second point says 17 and 4. So 17 would be over here, 4 would be over here. So more or less our line would look something like this, right? Normally what we would be able to do is we'd be able to count the spaces that way and the spaces this way to figure out our slope. Remember, slope is just rise over run. However, since we don't have the picture, and I drew a picture here, but it's not really a good one. Since we don't have a good picture, what we can do is the slope formula. The slope formula says that if you started at the height of -11 and ended up at the height of -4, how many spaces would that be? Well, the formula says that if you subtract the two numbers, that actually gives you the amount of spaces you would have counted if the picture was there. So this we're going to call x1, y1. The reason why we're calling this x1, y1 is because this is our first coordinate. This is our second coordinate, so we'll call this x2, y2. Now after we do this, we plug it into the formula. So y2, we identify it as 4. So 4 minus y1, we identify it as -11. So we'll put -11 over x2, 17, minus x1, -8, which is equal to our slope. So 4 minus a -11, if we're not sure, we can use a calculator. But when we minus a negative sign, it's the same as adding, so that's 15. 17 minus a -8, that's the same as adding, 25. This can be reduced by dividing both numbers by 5, because 5 is the greatest common number that they have that won't give you a decimal. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 25 divided by 5 is 5. So our slope is simply every 3 steps, it goes 5 to the right. Every 3, it goes 5 to the right. So our slope is 3 over 5.